I know. Another one of these guys that might waste your time and show you stuff you already know. IGN. But let me try and convince you with an intro trailer so you immediately can get an idea of what I'll be teaching you today. Or you can skip the intro and head straight into the guide. The choice is yours.
人は水より生まれ、また水に帰るか。闇に潜み、世に光をもたらさんとする我ら。今ここに新たな仲間を迎え。
The first thing I want to get into is block stun or stun lock canceling. What this does is nullifying the recovery frames after an enemy blocks your attack, allowing you to strike again, instead of being locked in the frames of the block stun. This action is performed by holding the weapon swap button after an enemy blocks your attack. This will catch them off guard and serve as a great way to open up the enemy's defense. Now with matchup knowledge, you can premeditate this as an input sequence instead of a reaction. So my inputs would be light attack, hold weapon swap button, followed up with attacks of choice. I think it's worth it to keep practicing until you're able to do block stun cancels and follow up attacks on reaction, because the results will be a dynamic combat experience that is extremely satisfying to the eyes and even the ears. Another way to open up your enemy's defense is by using feints. You have to execute this by doing an animation cancel. I feel like using moves that have a longer startup work the best. So in my case, I'm using a heavy attack. So the input would be heavy attack, hold weapon swap button before the attack connects, follow up with attacks of choice. Depending on when you use this or who you use this against, the outcomes will vary. Just because you get a free attack after a feint, the follow-up attacks aren't guaranteed. So be ready to get some follow-up attacks blocked and apply the attack that I showed you earlier that you can use after a block. Another cool way to open up your enemy's defense and keep it open is by having a Daze Affliction build and striking the enemy between their attacks instead of waiting until they're done attacking you. With the right Daze Affliction build, this could mean that I can attack them 4 times while they're attacking me. And after my 4th strike connects, the Daze Affliction build will be applied, which means they can't attack me anymore or even block my attacks. Okay, now let's get into some weapon swapping. Now, I don't want to confuse you with an intricate sequence or combo, so I'll just give you an easy 3-step sequence concept to follow along. For the sake of this guide, let's equip the katana and have the tanto as a secondary. Step 1. Press the heavy attack, and at any moment of the animation, press the weapon swap button. Now don't hold it, just press it. Now the moment when you press the weapon swap button doesn't have to look the same as it does on the screen. You can be earlier, just don't be later. Step 2. After you've pressed the weapon swap button, press the quick throw command. This does have a specific timing. You have to press it at the end of the animation. So that would be heavy attack, and at any moment of the animation press the weapon swap button, followed by a quick throw command at the end of the animation. Okay, for step 3, all you have to do is hold forward briefly while doing attacks of choice. For this example, just press light attacks. So heavy attack, weapon swap button, quick throw, hold forward briefly while pressing light attacks. Now in this case we chose the heavy attack with the katana as an example, but we can switch from any attack. Just keep the same concept in mind. Perform any move, during the animation of it press the weapon swap button, and at the end of the animation press the quick throw command. Tilt forward followed by attacks of choice. You can even do it with a roll, and I'll show you why you would want to learn that in the next segment. The next thing we're going to take a look at is ways to deal with red attacks without the katana equipped to rely on the deflect. Now I'm pretty sure everybody has dealt with rolling 3 times to avoid the enemy attack string, which looks kinda silly. One way to get around this is by interrupting them with a quick throw. This is why rolling into a weapon swap is so useful, like I mentioned in the previous segment. Now do keep in mind that 9 times out of 10 your follow-up attack is going to be auto-blocked. However, you can anticipate this by nullifying the recovery frames like I showed you in the first segment, and steal your turn back. Another thing I mentioned in the first segment was there's always a way to get in between attacks, even the red ones. Just as long as you find a way to avoid the hitbox, you should be good. Now I want to dive a little bit deeper into animation canceling. Now just like I mentioned before in the beginning of this guide, this action is performed by holding the weapon swap button during any animation. This also includes the roll. And because the roll animation would be cut short, you can basically do micro evades from a standing position. This also creates windows to strike between enemy attack strings. Animation canceling is also an important tool for combos, because like I mentioned before, it doesn't only cancel animation, it also nullifies recovery frames. For example, if I perform 3 heavy attacks with the katana, and I want to do 3 light attacks right after, it simply won't work because of the recovery frames. However, if I hold the weapon swap button at the end of the last heavy attack, the recovery frames get nullified and I'm able to do the 3 light attacks right after. It also resets your combo string back to the beginning. Let's say I have the bow staff equipped and I want to do the following attack sequence: light attack, followed by light attack, heavy attack. the game would then automatically register it as light, 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 heavy. However, if I hold the weapon swap button after the second light attack, it will reset the combo string and give me the intended sequence of light attack, light attack, light attack, heavy attack. And this will allow you to create unique combo strings. You can also cancel some of the abilities. Just like the rest, it gets executed by holding the weapon swap button. However, there's no specific timing attached to it. It all depends on your own preference as to at what moment of the ability do you want to cut the animation short. So for example, this Cyclone ability has a bunch of swings, and it's up to you to decide at what point you want to cancel it. I can show you some examples, but it's all up to you. Okay, and finally, I want to show you one more example of... What do you mean, what was that? What was what? Oh, you mean this? Don't worry about it. You didn't see anything. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, now I want to show you an ability that maintains the stealth state when properly executed, with some interesting outcomes. And that was just one example, but depending on when you choose to cancel the ability, the outcomes will differ. On this one, I'm canceling on the very last moment, so I'm actually making impact, but I'll still maintain the stealth state, because I was able to still trigger an assassination. But that wraps it up for today. I hope I was able to inspire you to get out there and add these tips and tricks to your arsenal. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.